Welcome back to the Rush Hour Pod. I'm your host, John Huang.
And I'm Carter Elligan, and today we're going to break down the NBA trade deadline, talk about what happened, and then we're going to jump into the Super Bowl. We're
Yep.
going to see who John has, who I have, and then we're going to end with the social justice topic and talk about what's going on in the NBA right now.
So let's get right into it, man. Right, so the NBA trade deadline has officially closed, and
Yep.
many people are still digesting it. I mean, including myself and you. We were just
Oh yeah.
talking about it the other day.
Yep.
But obviously, this year, I feel like there wasn't something that major where it was like Luka Doncic type of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yep.
2017 still made moves, right? And 28 deals were completed before 3 p.m. Eastern on February the 5th. So I feel like one of the biggest stories was Anthony Davis got traded from Dallas to Washington in a massive multi-team swap.
Sure.
And I feel like that's still the headline across the league.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like, you can't talk about the deadline without talking about Jared McCain going to the Thunder, right?
Yeah.
Um, they traded him to the Thunder for a 2026 first round draft pick and then
Mhm.
three second round draft picks, and that's a haul that looks bigger on paper than what McCain has actually produced this season. So,
I
yeah.
think you're definitely right about it being like a big trade, but I personally think the Thunder won that trade. And I feel like
Wait,
it,
wait, whoa, 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 whoa. You think the Thunder won?
yes, the Thunder won. Okay, look,
Thunder
okay. Like
won.
before we get into any heated arguments, I'm actually gonna break it down for you. So
Break it down. Break it down. Come
you
on, John.
listen. So at 40 to 11, all right, OKC is the league's best team this season, and I feel
Okay.
like you can agree with that.
I
Please tell
agree.
me you
Yeah, yeah,
can
yeah,
agree with
yeah,
that.
for
Okay,
sure.
okay, all right, good. And adding a young, promising wing, you got McCain. It strengthens their rotation without giving up a real rotational player. They still keep majority of their draft capital. There's a lot of flexibility, and it's just upside.
Well, like we gotta look at Jared McCain's stats this season, but we'll wait. We'll get into that later. But
All
I
right,
think the 76ers actually won. Philly
all
got
right.
four draft assets in
Mm-hmm.
return at a time when they aren't, a lot to make the finals. Obviously, the president Daryl Morey straight up said they saw McCain's future value as rising, and the draft capital gives them opinion options to trade up or land a role player who can help now instead of in the future.
Okay, that makes sense, but that's like a kind of a future play that's kind of also near future at the same time. But I feel like right now, OKC is a title contender, and everybody can agree with that. And I
Obviously,
feel
yeah.
like flipping one pick, like one big, maybe like a first round and like couple like second rounders with McCain's upside. I mean, yes, you talked about McCain's stats. He's still shooting 38% from the three. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very good contender move. You do thin a little bit of draft capital, but you add present utility, and I feel like Thunder's window is right now, and we both know that.
Yeah, I hear you, but Philly also tried to add to the deadline using those picks,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, he
Straight
did.
up offer the picks
Uh-huh.
they got for McCain to teams for upgrades, and nobody bid on that, right?
Yeah.
So that shows that, picks aren't just future assets. They're convertible assets for this season right now. And, that gives Philly leverage, even though they didn't get any player right now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So that gives the young team so much flexibility to the draft and stack draft classes.
Okay, that's fair, but I feel like another reason why I pick OKC is McCain himself. He was a rookie of the year candidate before injury. He does only average 6.6 points this season. That is true. But I feel like the Thunder is really taking a low risk swing when
Hey,
they're
John,
already
John, I want you to highlight that though. I want you to highlight
there
that. You
are
only how many points?
6.6. Listen. There, it's a low risk, and McCain needs a new start because Sixers obviously had VJ in the conversation, and that's probably also part of the reasons why they traded McCain was they probably want to
Yeah,
focus on VJ. So
yeah,
for him, McCain himself to get this reset, that speaks on itself. And I mean, basketball aside, his marketability with that Thunder team, that's gonna make them one of the
yeah,
most likable teams in the league. See, and
yeah, yeah.
it's a very low risk trade. Like, so what if McCain doesn't work out? It doesn't really matter that much for the Thunder.
Right. And truthfully, before McCain got injured, he was hooping. He was hooping.
For sure, yeah.
You know, like other teams really like moving forward past this one, but other teams didn't really make splasher moves
Yep,
this
yep.
year either. Like Anthony Davis went to Washington. They gave Dallas Middleton, Branham, Bagley, and multiple other picks. But Davis is not even expected to play
Yeah.
the rest of
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
That throws a wrench into Washington's ability to compete right now, even though we all know they're terrible. But that's besides the point.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's exactly it. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
Washington's deadline swing more like a not a future bet, but like a near future bet than a real contender
Yeah.
push. Right. I mean, like, yes, if AD and Trey ever get to play together healthy, sure, that's potential. But we've been
Yeah.
saying that every single year with AD on the
Yeah.
Lakers, the Mavericks, now obviously got the Wizards. And this
Yeah.
season, definitely not, right? Because AD already said he wasn't going to
Yeah.
play. But
Yeah.
man, I just want to make a comment. Nico Harrison, you really messed up the Mavericks franchise. Um, See, I remember sending you that thing on Instagram the other day
Oh
about
yeah, I remember. I remember.
right about what the Mavericks got back, like everything they got back for trading away Luca. And,
Made no sense.
and
Made no
other
sense.
than Cooper Flag, it's
Right.
no, it's
Yeah.
pretty bad to say the
Terrible.
least. And I mean, like, you really, I feel like I hate to put it on Nico Harrison. I know he already got a lot of criticism already, but
Already
I
got
feel like
fired.
the damage
Fired.
is so irreversible. He's already
Yeah.
fired, but it's irreversible. He put
I-
kind of like a wound on the city of Dallas, maybe even
Yeah.
the state of Texas.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be removed. I mean, like that would hurt. I mean, like I'm in Vancouver right now, and one of our best hockey players just got traded, and like that hurts us. But imagine if it's
I
Luca.
know.
That's like it's just still crazy to me. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, I think we can both agree that Thunder got the nod for right now.
Yeah.
The 76ers, maybe for the future. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But Washington and Dallas made interesting long-term moves, I guess. But it sounds fair.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
But
I do agree with what you're saying, bro. I glad we came to
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
agreement.
for
Yes. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Let's jump right into the Super Bowl,
Yep.
right? We got Patriots versus the Seahawks.
Hmm.
The odds are open with Seattle as slight favorite.
Yeah.
Analytics almost universally back them because of balanced offense and defense.
Right. And let's start with talking about the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah,
Let's start with Drake Maye. You know,
Drake Maye.
incredible regular season, right?
Yeah,
Roughly 4,394 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, leading in completion metrics and ratings. But I do see his postseason performance that has dipped recently. And I feel like especially in the AFC title game, but to be fair to him, it was really tough conditions with the snow.
yep. On the flip, Sam Darnold, one, he's efficient. He got experience. He's a veteran
Yeah.
almost. And he just had 346 yards, three touchdowns in an NFC championship game. That's not to be taken lightly.
For sure. And I feel like the weapons around these QBs are very important too. And I mean,
Yep,
like, we have JSN from Seattle, Emerald City Route Runner, that's what they call him. But
yep.
he's been a league leading target all season. And I feel like even if New England brackets him, it opens up too much
Yeah.
for Kenneth Walker and Rashid Shaheed. And I feel like that's how Seattle's really going to control the tempo from there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, New England's their receiving corps, it's tricky because they don't have that one guy dominating, targets. But May, he can extend his legs, he can run. And some people even have him around 36.5 rushing yards for him because of the mobility.
All right. So let's cut the chit chat. Let's just get right into it. How do
Let's
we
do
think
it.
the game's gonna unfold? I think Seattle's defense forces a lot of early punts and stops, and their balanced offense, run plus high percentage passes, will keep them ahead in the second half. And I think Seattle will take this game. It won't
Really?
be easy for them, but I think they'll take this game.
I mean, I guess I feel where you're coming from,
All
right?
right, here we go. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right, okay,
I think
okay.
if May avoids mistakes and converts third downs, I think New England can keep drives alive, shorten the game, and make this a pressure-driven final quarter. Football intelligence projects say the team that stay efficient on the third down in the Super Bowl controls the clock and wins the most. So we'll see.
I mean, I guess, but look, I feel like Seattle's gonna control the clock and field position early. And I feel like by the time May is gonna get into his rhythm, it's already gonna be too late. All right, so let's go into the final picks. I
Let's
got the
go.
Seahawks 27, Patriots 23. I feel like Seattle's gonna control the game really well, and by the time New England's gonna try to make a push, it's already gonna be too late. So what about you?
Honestly, I don't even think you believe that. to be honest. But
What?
I got the Patriots 24. I got the Seahawks 21. I mean, like if we look back, we were talking about the Bears Green Bay.
Yeah.
No, no, no. We were talking about the Bears
Okay.
Green Bay. And you said the same thing. And look at what happened. The Bears won. I'm usually right, John. Just listen to
So
me.
you are
Listen to me.
not usually right. Okay, what about
John,
that
John,
Cooper
John,
Flag
just
and
listen to
BJ
me.
thing we were talking about? Like Cooper
Hey,
Flag, 49 points.
John, just listen to me. We're talking about football. We're not talking about basketball. We're talking about football, John.
You got me one time, and
Hey, I
I'm
got
about to
Patriots
get you right
24. I
back.
got Seahawks 21. It's a done deal. It's a done deal.
Okay, well, the viewers, you guys will see when Carter is wrong.
See
Tomorrow,
when John's wrong.
3:30
See
p.m.
John.
Pacific time, turn on your TV, Super Bowl,
Turn it on.
live from
Yup.
San Francisco. Anyways, um, now let's move into something a little bit more serious. And today
Yeah.
for our sports justice spotlight, and this has been one constant debate in the NBA about player health, load management, and how fans fit into all of it.
I mean, yeah, because on the surface, load management it looks very simple,
Yeah.
but fancy stars sit out and think, I pay to see him play. Why aren't you out there? And the frustration, it makes sense. It makes sense.
But look, I feel like what really doesn't get talked about enough is what the season actually demands from the players.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
look, we both play high school basketball. We know this. Like,
right.
we have what
Yeah,
about like across from probably like October to March, like what, like 30 games?
30 up, 30,
And
35. So
that's already pretty exhausting. Like
yeah,
me, I come home, I have to like nap and everything. And think about the NBA, we're talking about 82 games year
82.
round, and they're traveling all over the country, lots of back-to-backs, and the playoff intensity is something to also consider. And then you have off-season commitments like international play or summer training.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's big, yeah.
And I feel like, the style of play has changed too. The
Yeah,
game is faster, players are more explosive, and it's more physically demanding than compared to, even the past 10 to 15
for
years.
sure. Yeah, no, that's
So
yeah.
I feel like players are covering more ground, jumping higher, and they're changing direction constantly, putting pressure on their bodies. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like when teams they rest players, it's not necessarily about like being soft. I feel like it's really about preventing breakdowns and burnouts.
yeah,
I mean, there's also like a mental health aspect to it, but I feel like on the physical side, one wrong landing, one overstressed muscle, a whole
yeah,
career trajectory can change. And obviously, this is what they feed their families with, so
yeah.
obviously they wouldn't want that. Yeah.
And I feel like this is where the justice angle kind of comes in, right? Because players' bodies, that's the product,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
the
yeah.
league makes billions off star power each year, but the physical cost stays with the athlete long after their contract ends,
Yep.
long after they retire, so yeah,
And I feel like fans, they often gets framed as the victim in the conversation because
yeah,
like, I don't get to see the players, whatever, but I feel like players are workers too, they don't get their knees, backs, or shoulders back after retirement. That's just the
yeah,
reality. Yeah.
exactly. And like when stars get hurt because they played through fatigue, the fans still lose. Nobody wins when a season ends with injury instead of competition.
And honestly, I feel like the problem is the system. What do you think? Because I feel like the league hasn't really fully adjusted scheduling to like
Yeah,
match the modern reality. It's so much more intense, it's more fast paced. Back to back still exists with traveling. Travel is like brutal. And I
yeah.
feel like players end up taking the blame for a structural issue.
And when stars sit, it turns into, a moral argument instead of health discussion. People question their commitment to the team, their toughness, or do they even still love the game? And when it's really the players are really thinking about their longevity. So
And I feel like there's also just like a trust issue here because fans, they obviously feel left in the dark. And if the leagues and teams were more transparent about rest plans and health decisions, I feel like it wouldn't be too much like a surprise or a bait and switch. I
yeah.
saw this really funny comment about Kawhi Leonard. I think this was like at like a little bit a couple months ago, but he like skipped a road trip but came to play in a game at home, and people were saying like he was just gonna come because he was like in his backyard but not go out just because he doesn't want to. But I feel like
Right.
if teams were more transparent about those kind of things and why he wouldn't, I feel like people won't be as mad at it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like right now, particularly, it feels really like reactive. Players out, fans are mad, and everyone's pointing fingers instead of addressing, the root of the problem.
Yeah. So I feel like the real solution here isn't just shaming players. I feel like it's smarter scheduling that needs to be done. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
fewer back-to-backs, better communication, and the league being honest about what elite performance actually costs in today's world.
Yeah. And I feel like protecting players' health is not anti-competition. It's just it protects the quality of the product and like the long term of like how long a player is going to stay in the league. And I feel like I would much rather want to see LeBron, for example. I would much rather want to see 100% LeBron play rather than a 50% LeBron trying to push through an injury, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. And I feel like if the league also wants the fans to stay invested, it has to prove the game values its players as people, not just assets, too. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, kind of touched on this just now, but the best version of sports is healthy stars, and honest systems and trust between players and teams and the fans.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
all right, we covered the NBA trade deadline, the Super Bowl predictions. We all know Carter's gonna get it right, right? We got the Patriots winning. And then the real conversation about players' mental health and physical health.
And look, let us know what you think. Should teams have pushed harder at the deadline? Who you gonna think is who you're going to think is gonna win the Super Bowl? Obviously, I
Yep.
got Seattle, West
I
Coast
got
on
the
top
Patriots. We all
out
know
here.
this. We all know
Okay.
this.
And where you stand on load management in the NBA.
Yup. Subscribe, leave a review, and hit us on socials.
And thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.